Hi everyone, Helena here from Speaker Insight. You will notice there is no Kelly. We help speakers, authors and coaches to build a business on your terms. And I'm just going to do all the bits that we would normally do in conjunction. So I'm going to put my glasses on and say hello to any of you as you are coming in. Do let me know that I'm coming across loud and clear. I'm just going to pop all of the links in. Some of you may be joining from the Connection Hub, in which case welcome from in there. I am just going to make sure that everything is working and I can see all of your comments, which is exciting. Hi Monica, lovely to see you. Right, okay, so that bit's working. Now I'm just gonna share things out. Hi Kelly, lovely to see you, babe. I hope you are enjoying the sun in a beautiful way. So I'm just gonna share this out into the Connection Hub. Kelly, would you mind putting the Connection Hub link in whilst I share this out? That'd be really helpful. And I am just going to share out, oh, hello, the Facebook Live, and I can update that in a second. Here we go. Right. Hello from sunny Spain indeed. So that's one share done. I'm just going to share this out into Changemaker Central because that way everybody gets an opportunity to look at things from where they're looking at things from. So for those of you who are already watching in that case, tell us the buzz in your business. You know, we always do this. The buzz in your business is all the good stuff that's happening, all the stuff that you're either looking forward to or that you have just actually done. Thanks, Kel. I appreciate it. That you have actually already done. So so that might be maybe you've won an award, did you publish a book, did you get something done? It could be tiny, it could be massive, but tell us the buzz in your business. Right, that's everybody shared out. Hey Jamie, nice to see you. Hi Sue. Hey Billy. Good to see you here. Loving all the content that you're putting into the Connection Hub. Really a brilliant space. So if you are a speaker, author or coach and you are not inside the Connection Hub, I would highly recommend that you come and play in there because it is just a great space where conversations happen. And one of the conversations that actually happened last week, in fact on the 30th, so only about 4 days ago, really sparked a massive conversation. I think there's something like 164.5 comments on it at the moment, and it's really sparked some debate. And that's exactly what we're all about. We want to provide a space where speakers, authors and coaches can talk about what's important to them. Oh, Monica, that's amazing. You've been featured in 2 websites, small step in the long journey, but certainly that opportunities to speak are also coming your way, Memnia. That's amazing. So it really is just about keeping that focus going and celebrating it with all of us. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the buzz in our business. For those of you who haven't yet written the buzz in yours, please go ahead and do so. That would be absolutely amazing. And then we'll dive into today's content, which I have to say I'm a teeny bit nervous about because there are so many opinions and things around. So I've been really thinking about how we can use this to our advantage. And that's always what I'm going to do. So I am just going to let you know, we run, as Speaker Insight, we run a day called the Connect and Create Day. And it is one of the most amazing things. Hey, Jackie. It's one of the most amazing places for you to come, get some feedback on your on what you're working on. You'll get a 20-minute session with either Kelly or I. But on top of that, you get to connect with like-minded, like-valued people who are all speakers, authors and coaches on the journey. So that actually really helps. So I'm just going to pop that one in there for you. So if you are free on the 9th of October, do come and join us because you really do get a chance to step away from your business and work on it rather than just work in it. And that is a really gorgeous thing. Joe's joining us from the Connection Hub, so I'm completely loving that. So I might not put as many comments in there because I'm looking at the comments on Speaker Insight. So just so that you're aware, if you have got a question, Joe, just pop it over into this one or else I'll answer it a little bit later, which might work very well. So the other things that are happening in terms of the buzz in our business, as you can see, Kelly, there we go. Kelly's already sharing out her speaker show reel, which is absolutely brilliant. The spotlight is happening on the 17th, so that's only in about 3 weeks' time. If you really are if you are really serious about being a speaker, it is a great event to just not only get inspiration from, but to get all the kind of tips and tricks that you might need that really will help you build a show reel, put that together, etc. So please do come. I would love that. Michelle, good to see you. Final thing from me, on the 29th of September, it's on a Sunday this time around. I am running my, as Andrea Newton puts it, the More Than a Vision Board workshop. So I'm running another one of those. So if you haven't yet had the chance, or if you've got that September bug of it's all new and I really want to set some vision for the day, please do come along. It is brilliant because we do some wandering in the morning that really helps put you in an expansive space, and then we do the vision board in the afternoon so that you can pull all the energy of that wandering and dreaming into the board, and that is actually what makes the traction happen for you. So I will just pop the link in there for that, and then we might be good to go because I think you're all actually here. I haven't seen anybody else's news. What else is the buzz in your business, people? Oh, Michelle, I'm sorry. Don't worry, we'll make it work. And I think we are there. Right, okay, good. So, oh, hell's bells. I totally didn't tell you about this one. Are any of you near Scotland? Are you up near the border? Because Kelly and I, oh, and this might actually affect next Tuesday. If you were thinking about having a hot date with us for this Facebook Live, which I know many of you lunch with us / breakfast with us, morning Amy if you're listening already, please do come up to Scotland because nice. So on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we're going to be in Scotland helping Karen Yates with her beautiful workshop, which I've now misplaced the link to. Give me 2 seconds. I am just going to do this mainly, and the reason I'm saying this is because if you are a last minute decider and you want to come and spend, and again it's a kind of implementation day, here we go, I'm just going to put this in here. We are doing this up in Edinburgh and it's a day-long workshop. It's £79, but Karen's very kindly let us do a buy one get one free. So if you like a little bargain and you'd like to come up to Scotland and watch us do our thing up there with two amazing humans, Kate and Karen, then please come and do that, which is really good. Right, let me tell you about some of the news that we've got. So Jackie says, made my first £8,000 fee from the show reel training. That's fantastic. No show reel yet. It's underway, but she's got herself an agent too. That is absolutely awesome and amazing. Michelle, nearly finished editing my 4th book. You rock, girl. You just rocks. That's my buzz. So I can get the headspace to be fully back on my business for a bit. I totally and utterly love that. So please do do a little bit more of that. I'm going to get talking about everything that's actually happening in the land of giving credit where credit is due. So I expect that many people... Is he really, Gary? How amusing. I totally love you. That is really quite funny. Well, we'll see, won't we? And honestly, with everything that I've got here to share with you, I would be really happy. Now, it's interesting that you say that. So I'm just going to give some context for why we've called it Giving Credit Where Credit is Due. And really, last week, Nicole Arbour kind of did an expose, or did a little bit of a Jay Shetty is basically stealing all sorts of people's stuff, and that actually works. Now, we actually did do a what's it called? A training on this. We did a training on how to stop people stealing your stuff. So I will actually put that in towards the end, just so that you can see the difference in that. That one is all about IP. Today is actually much more around the how do we, as speakers, authors and coaches that are authentic and want to actually give in the world, do so in a way that is respectful and delighting in the collaborative way of doing things. So Nigel basically asked this in the group, and this is on the back of what actually happened. I came across this yesterday and it disturbed me. On the one hand, can someone who is revered and has positively affected so many people through his spiritual motivational presence be called called out as a fake because of alleged plagiarism? Or, on the other, is he authentic because his methods of delivery and skill in presentation? Interested in the thoughts of this learned group. Well, that basically ended up, as I say, in about 164 comments and a lot of healthy debate inside the group. This particular Facebook Live isn't going to be about the rights and the wrongs. It's not going to be about blaming. It's not going to be about did he, didn't he in some way. It's actually going to be about how do we use what's actually happened as a springboard to go further and to call all of you, and this is me on my soapbox, which is why I'm actually standing rather than sitting doing this. It's me on my soapbox calling you into action, calling you into a heart-based action that says, so what can you do that allows you to actually stand on the shoulders of giants? And more on that in a second. More buzz from Jackie. My buzz is that the post I shared yesterday on the battle lines drawn by YouTube, approached by Oh, nice. On the battle lines drawn by YouTube, approached by a journalist to share my artificial intelligence work in the empathy economy. Honey, that's just absolutely phenomenal. And it just goes to show exactly what I'm talking about here, about when we share from the heart, when we share the thing that is our green flag in the sand. And some of you will have heard me say this before. This is about you being the stand for what you believe, putting your green flag in the sand and actually speaking from that place, from your place of education, from your place of experience that allows you, and your place of research, that allows you to actually get out in the world and be recognized as the voice for many. Interestingly enough, the byline, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about Jay, the byline that he actually uses on his Facebook group is making wisdom go viral. So it just kind of lends its kind of thread to, does that make it okay to take something that someone else has said and pass it off as your own? We believe that's not the case. We believe in citing people. And in fact, actually, if you look at pretty much any book, and I pretty much pulled out, I have thousands, I pretty much pulled out any book. It happened to be a little mindset book. But, you know, the whole purpose of this is that we cite, we use the references that people actually have spent their time and effort using. They have gone through the research. We have gone through the research. Acknowledge the fact that who you are is someone that does research, someone that actually honors somebody else and says that to the world. That's such an amazing thing. Oh, bless you, Kelly. I completely agree with that. Right, I am just going to... Kelly, did you manage to pin the connection hub to the top of the screen? Oh, I think I've frozen for a second. Just bear with me. I'm just going to hold for a second whilst it's all coming back in. I'm going to continue and maybe it'll get garbled. I'm just going to watch what's actually happening on here. My laptop has frozen, so I'm just going to... So tell me if it's frozen on here and I'll keep on going. I don't know what's happening. Right, you can't pin it. That's cool. I will pin it. Okay, good. So I'm just going to continue, even though I now can't see your comments, or at least comment on... respond to your comments at the moment. So I'm just going to continue. So at the very heart, good, I'm pleased. At the very heart of this debate is this. You are all in the space of speakers, authors and coaches who are change makers, so that you want to go and make change in the world. And that place comes from, where Kelly and I come from, is we're calling you to be your authentic selves, sharing what you know in the way that you know it with the rest of the world. So allowing the inspiration from what's gone before to absolutely inform what you are doing and how you're doing it is a really vital thing, because there really is no such thing as an original thought. There is innovative thinking, but original thought simply comes in, and I'm gonna quote, I'm just gonna, because I love this. This little book by Adam Grant is an absolutely beautiful book. And he talks about what original is, because actually some of this is simply about being, most of us are almost afraid of being caught out for not being original. So I wonder if something that drives the behavior is this need to appear clever, smart, original in some way. So original is the origin or source of something from which something springs, proceeds, or is derived. So just by that very token, when we are original, it actually means that we can simply, so I can't write anything to you, so I'll just have to answer as you go. When something is original, it simply allows us, there you go, nice one, Kelly. Kelly says, personalize and package your message from your own experience, which could be built on other people's wisdom. Correct. So the book is Originals, Jackie, and it's by a lovely man called Adam Grant. It will challenge your thinking, and in fact, actually, gosh, I think you'll really, really enjoy it. It's all around what you do with the thought that pops in. And one of the things that I think is called for with this whole thing that's blown up over the last little while is this. There's a systemic change that's actually being called for here. It's a way of ensuring that we build our authenticity, our respect and our reverence for what prompted the why that we have, packaging your passion, your expertise, that actually allows us then to trace back our knowledge. And the brilliance of that is that others actually understand that journey more because we cite those sources. It isn't just we've landed and we're right in it straight away. It's actually that by referencing what's gone before, where we've come from, we can actually convey and progress the world in the thinking that's driving the world, a bit like Jackie's doing really, and pretty much all of you actually, in that way that allows us to simply say this is who guided us and give acknowledgement to those who guided us. I really struggled with, do I call this give credit where credit is due or the power of acknowledgement? Because the power of acknowledgement actually is the thing that allows us to stand for what we stand for and honour those who've actually been in the field for a long time before us, as well as our contemporaries who actually are saying things as well. So what I'm just going to close the program and come back in. So Kelly, let me give you an example. Kelly and I don't actually purport to know everything there is to know about being speakers, authors and coaches. That, you know, and we would never dream of saying that that's what we do. What we do is we set up the Connection Hub simply as a place where authentic speakers, authors and coaches can actually mean, where they can share, join, enjoy the conversations, progress their own businesses in some way. What we are great at is actually, I'll read yours out in a second, Tim. What we are absolutely great Sorry, I'm just going to laugh at Kelly for a second. She's like, honey, you don't know everything. It is really that simple. Tim, I'm just going to say, original ideas can happen, but more likely that you put ideas together in fresh ways and or present them to people in a way that they can click into and use. And that is exactly it. It is the original perspective. So I'm going to share with you kind of the 4 creator content creator styles, if you like, that you might embrace and kind of merge so that you can actually hang your information on that hook and be that kind of deliverer. So what Kelly and I are really great at providing the knowledge that helps you manage your business in some way. We provide the knowledge, the confidence, the information to put the foundations in place in your business that allows you to actually manage it. And so through our membership platform, Changemaker Central, that's where we actually work in depth with speakers, authors and coaches to actually really shape those messaging, packaging everything up, using those perspectives as Tim was just saying. So I would share the link, but I have no idea. I'll share that for you a little bit later. The whole thing that I want to highlight here is that we do our best to pull in experts when it's asked for by people in the Connection Hub or by the questions that are being asked. We will search our little black book and we will find an expert, someone who has done the work on it, someone who knows more than we do, and actually be open and vulnerable enough to say, come on into our to our environment and do the collaboration. It really is about honouring, and I've just actually seen that that's exactly the word that Alison Porter has just actually done. Giving credit is honouring the source of the material. Acknowledgement is honouring the inspiration, and that's exactly it. I love those definitions. You are so great with words, hon. That is why you are our copy queen. Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. So here's the thing. What if we all became the role models for this? You know, we're not afraid to say we don't know something or when we don't know something. What if we're open enough to do the research and share that and point you at the people who actually did that research in the first place, rather than actually just passing it off as something that makes us look clever? The joy of actually honouring somebody else is that those people actually come into your actual sphere. In fact, just last week, I was citing someone, I tagged someone whose information I had, and I'm now in conversation with that person. It is an ever-expanding universe if we want it to be and we allow it to be. What if I'm calling you into a place where you're caring enough to acknowledge the good work that shines on its own merits, and by that very nature have a little ray of light actually shone on you as a result? What if you connect one person to an idea that they've been longing to have simply by sharing who said something in the first place? Because if it's not yours, just acknowledge where it came from. That's really what we're talking about here. We are all in here. I think all the people who are joined, there's nearly 5,000 of you. In fact, there are really nearly 5,000 of you. Please, please, please do invite some people. I'm excited to celebrate 5,000 people in the Connection Hub. But we all do our bit to expand the lives of all of the people we come into contact with. And we can't know exactly what it is that we say. We may just be the gateway to someone else that does the full opening of the house to a person who's been looking for that to happen. So it's delusional. That's basically what I'm going to say. It's delusional to think that you can provide it all. And it's really wise to use and stand on the shoulders of giants, because we are a sum of all that's gone before us. And the way we're shaped by that can actually help us look at how we present the content that we present. So I'm going to share with you 4 content types, content creator types in a short while. But what I am going to say is this first, because I've always pretty much done my best to cite where I get things from. Kelly's just saying the depth of knowledge is owned by adding your direct experience about it, and that's exactly right. So I'll share more about that in a second. Peter Thompson, who is one of my favourite mentors, I was in a room with him in the early 1990s somewhere, and he said this one little thing, and you know how something just sticks, which is exactly what we're talking about, right? Peter Thompson basically said, you should always aim, if you are actually sharing something with someone and you're using like a third-party saying, or you are even using a quote in some way, go and find the etymology of it. Go back to the source and actually go, so what does this really, really mean? Because if you're actually referencing the source material, but you haven't studied what it's actually related to, you could be saying the wrong thing. I'm just going to take a slurp. We might get some mug envy people again. So back to Peter. So go and actually find out, go down the rabbit hole and find out where the saying that you're about to use, especially if you're going to use it over and over and over again in your talks, in your books, in your coaching, find out what it actually means and what the person who said it meant by it, so that you can work out whether it's a values fit for you, whether it actually is someone that you want to represent in this way. That's a deep level of knowing. So I'm actually going to do the down the rabbit hole on this one, because the quote that really, that is why I love dictionary definitions. You are so correct, Kelly. But I really did go down the rabbit hole on this one with a bit of wiki and a bit of cross-referencing. So the story or quote that kind of came to mind when I first started thinking about this Facebook Live was standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, it would be interesting for me to know where you think that came from. So feel free to actually just scribble in, where did you first hear that? Who do you associate it with? Because I went down the rabbit hole, and whilst you're doing that, I am actually just going to see whether I can just see the comments, because I really do want to share with you where this all actually comes from. So please, please, please share it out for me. Where did you hear it? Where do you think it came from? Right. Here we go. Right. Just give me a second, and I will just see if I can get back to you, because the internet weirdly is working on my phone and now seems to be working on my thing here as well. So it made you think of Tony Robbins. Good. Okay, good. Anyone else? That might actually be because of Awaken the Giant Within. So there's a kind of cross-referencing that actually goes on in there. Any more for any more? I kind of feel like I'm doing an auction now, which will be really quite exciting. Good. Right, I've got these back, so I can actually give you the link that I'm working from. It's from a painting, Jackie says. Okay, good. Any more for any more? I'm just going to keep on going just for a second, because when I went down the rabbit hole, I'll start thinking. Keep on giving me what you're actually thinking. It actually, the first reference, if you like, really came about in the 12th century. Bernard, I can't do a French accent, or because he's so tall, giants, yes, I suppose so, Steph. So, Bernard of Chartres was a philosophist and a scholar and an administrator who used it to actually say that scholarly works are based on people who went before. So, so that was the first kind of reference that was actually in place. Interestingly enough, the most familiar expression in English is actually coined, and I use that phrase very, very specially, was coined by Isaac Newton. And this is a £2 coin. What's really interesting, it's the one that's quite boring. I'm just going to do that. It's the one that's quite boring on the back. But if you've ever taken the time to actually read the side of the coin, you will see that it says, standing on the shoulders of giants, because this is Isaac Newton's £2 coin. So what's really interesting about that is that we attribute things to people that didn't necessarily originate them. And that's interesting in itself too. The quote kind of got taken up again in the 16th century. By the 17th century, it had become commonplace, and to the point where where Robert Burton in The Anatomy of Melancholy said, "I say with Didacus Stella, a dwarf standing on the shoulders of a giant may see farther than a giant himself." And that's where it's actually coming from. So it's really interesting that the whole history of that, and now that I've got this, I can actually give you the whole down the rabbit hole if you really want to go there for yourself. Let me pop this one in here for you. I just thought it was really interesting that we use it in our worlds in so many different ways. So do feel free, don't do it yet, but do feel free if you want a cup of tea a little bit later and a little bit of a down the rabbit hole, this will kind of help you. But what I love about this is the fact that actually 3 different people kind of started quoting the same thing at around about the same time. So for those of you who've read Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, the idea that she kind of purports in there is that there are ideas floating around everywhere, and they're just kind of knocking on different people's heads, waiting to be given space to get them out in the world. And whichever person is receptive to them, the idea gets dropped into several different people. So who actually kind of gets out there, i.e. markets their idea a little bit better, is actually an interesting concept for all of us. So there were several people who actually had said standing on the shoulders of giants before it got really picked up, and Isaac kind of got the credit for it. So that's just an interesting concept for you. So how much are you saying, what I take from that for all of us is how much are you standing by the things that you say? So Kelly and I will always say, building a business on your terms. That's our trademarked bit. That's a part of our language. So what's the part of your language that you are actually starting to use and sharing out there? So with all of that in place, back to what Alison was just saying, it really is about acknowledging the input that someone else has had to your thinking. It really is about someone sharing where they've come from in that journey. The failing that a lot of us, you know, the vulnerability that we actually have is probably that we want to be seen as original. We want to be seen as smart. The humanity of us is such that it drives a behavior that might lead us to really kind of want to share the knowledge without acknowledging. But here's the beauty. Oh, Robert, lovely to see you. Robert is asking, are there any sites you could recommend to check the veracity and history of quotes? There actually are a couple, and I will go look them up after the client that comes after this Facebook. So I'll do it a little bit later, but I will definitely kind of do the ones that I go down the rabbit hole with. And Steph is saying, where do you stop quoting? i.e. killing two birds with one stone is a common saying. So I think that's a really good question, and I don't know is kind of what it comes down to. If anyone can actually, here it is. I don't know. Does the community know? Please let us know. How do you stop quoting a source for a particular thing? Some of it is just about ownership of the IP that's actually in there, and we did do a really good training on that in December, as I said, so I'll pop that in here for you as well. But the bit that I really, let me pop that in there right now whilst I remember, because it is actually, if you are in the situation where it's actually around stealing your IP and your content, then have a little watch of this. There are some really nice resources in here. Steph, I'm going to come back to you and kind of go down the rabbit hole on that one, because I don't know the answer. What I really want to say here is be okay. If there is no attributed, Alison saying, if there's no attributed author, like for a common saying, then there isn't a quote. Beautiful. Thank you very much. There it is. Ask a copywriter and off she goes. Thanks. Makes a lot of sense. Right. So the whole solution here is be okay with not knowing everything, and be okay, like really make the work about you understanding where you're coming from, understanding what it is that you want to share, and know and understand that you will be so much more revered, respected, and acknowledged yourself for being open and honest about where you're actually coming from. So, most books or quotes for all of us are a springboard to our creativity, and that's actually a great way that you can start to use the research, the books, the things that you come across that allow you to deepen or widen or expand your own knowledge of something that then allows it to go further out into the world, because you are the person that X amount of people are in touch with. What if you are the mouthpiece of some idea that actually goes out into the world and gets put into practical action so that we can all make progress? That's really the job here as a speaker, author, or coach, right? To stimulate people, to inspire people, to help them make progress in their own little way. So let's actually do that. So I'm gonna do this little bit, and then I'm gonna share the 4 types for you, because of course giving credit where credit is due is such a common saying that it must actually have an etymology somewhere. And I learned that President Samuel Adams was actually the person who coined that in a phrase in a letter in 1777. So for those of you who are working with legacy, I'm just going to say this. What sentence or phrase of yours, and I'd love to know, would you love to be your legacy? Like for someone like me, there'll be nobody like me, but in 200, 300 years' time, for them to be quoting it in that way. So I'd love to know what yours actually is. But the whole point is giving credit where credit is due, and you can go and do the etymology on that one. That one's quite interesting too. I thought I'd not bore you by actually doing 2 in one Facebook Live. But I wanted to kind of give you some more practical versions of this, because I've given you some thoughts, and that's partly what idea sharing is. Kelly says that she might like her legacy to be the don't be a dick. I'm now laughing here, and I'm going to have words with you, young lady, later. So to identify, the more you know who you are, the easier it is to put your green flag in the sand and be a stand for what you actually think is going on. So I am just going to share Memnia's first. My legacy would be my legacy I would love, have the courage to lead the life you've always wanted. Delicious. Love, love, love. Any more for any more. I would love those. So let me share the 4 types with you. Now, as with all good things, 4 types means that it doesn't mean you're just one of the types. It could be that you go across all of them. So the first of those is the honest curator. Now, this is the one that actually loves the research, that loves gathering things in. It's a little bit like Kelly and I. We are honest curators inside the Connection Hub. We pull on information, we look at things, we research things, and we share those out with people. So the honest curator is the one that acknowledges where all of they become the hub. They are the ones that really generate a place. They hold a space and a place for people to come to get the information that they actually want and have the conversations that they want. So you might well be an honest curator. And what that means is that you don't, for those of you who are kind of prone to imposter syndrome, this is a really great place to be, because you can absolutely, if you don't have the PhD or the masters and you feel a bit inadequate for that, you doing the research, you having the books, having read the books, maybe you are a voracious reader, you collating all of that can be a really good way of being a content creator. Jackie says she's got 2. PDFs where data go to die. Love that. That makes me smile. And 2, technology is not an outcome but an enabler. And I love that. And book 6, what's that, honey? Oh, that is your book 6. I see. I've got it. Sorry, that took me a moment. Absolutely brilliant. I totally, totally love that. And my partner would love to have a conversation with you about that. So, right. So we've got the honest curator is one of them. Then we do have, and Tim, you're absolutely right, there is original thinking. So there is the original thinker. This is the person who shares new and novel ideas. They've probably still got some sources to share with you because they got to that thinking, that innovation, by really switching things around. But there are definitely people who are going to turn on your light bulb, so to speak, by sharing their original thoughts, which are bouncing or springboarding off of what they've already learned or done in life. So the honest curator, the original thinker, the qualified expert. Oh, Robert, now I'm going to do this before I do this. Robert says, my legacy, people won't buy from you until they buy into you. Delicious. I totally love that. That's amazing. I really like that. And so, and I completely get that. So the fact that 14 of you are still here listening makes me feel happy right now. So the honest curator, the original thinker. The next one is the qualified expert. That is the person. If you are the one that has spent hours in study, you've got the PhD, you've got the masters, you've spent hours actually studying, researching the Brené Browns of the world, those people can absolutely share from that place of, I am a qualified expert. I've done the work and I've seen what actually goes on. Yes, and Kelly, you're absolutely right. Original thinker includes when you create your own IP. You're absolutely right around that. And then we've got Alison saying, mine, here's one from Alison. Mine would be, calm is a superpower. Love it. And here's one I stole from Bette Midler. Fuck 'em if they can't take a joke. Totally love it, honey. Did you do that just to make me swear on here? I quite like it. So here we are. It just, the 4th one for you. So we've got the honest curator, gathering everything in, the original thinker, which yes includes your IP and actually takes that whole where can I take the thinking to a new level or a different level, which definitely maps across some information. Kelly's now laughing at the fact that I swore, and so is Alison. And then our 3rd one, which is the qualified expert, so honouring the expertise that you actually have. And here's the thing, this is the one that gets yes, Josefa says that's me, good. And then the experienced role model is the fourth one of those. The experienced role model is the person who hasn't necessarily put the hours of study in, but has gone through the experience of that and is now able to teach and share from that place, to share the knowledge, the inspiration, the information that actually goes into the experience that's been had. Because we can sometimes negate experience that can create that imposter syndrome in some way. So it really does come down to which of the four are you most prone to doing, and what or what's your blend. The more you know that, the easier it is for you to actually go, it's okay for me to acknowledge others. It's okay for me to acknowledge who helps me, who mentors me, who supports me, what books I've actually studied and read that allow me to actually go out in the world, that allow my words, which is why I'm encouraging you to keep on putting them in there. And if you haven't thought about it, that completely works. Caroline, I'll come to yours in just a second. But your words are good enough to quote. So which are those? There's nothing wrong with citing your sources, but actually, what are you doing to work on becoming a source of those? So I'm just going to read Caroline's. I'm inspired by so many people and experiences, but I take what I've learned across these multiple learnings and then I join the dots in new ways to come up with new outcomes. I then create processes, language and metaphors to use in my mindset training work. So the outcomes are original, but the source inspiration isn't all mine. I couldn't have put it better. I think you should have done this Facebook Live, hon. I think that's just absolutely spot on. Well done, you. And it's correct. It's the synthesis and of our experience, of our expertise, of our learning, of our perspective, of our ability to actually think about things in a different way from our perspective that allows us to be the gorgeous individuals, which now buys into something that I really believe, which is there's enough for all of us. The abundance model is absolutely present in all of this. So here's the thing. By acknowledging, by citing, by doing all of this, and she also says, and I do attribute and thank the geniuses who inspire me. And too right, because by doing that, we are actually showing up as people who care, which makes us more likable, makes us more trustworthy. It also allows us to claim the spot of, I want to change something, and I'm willing to do what it takes with whoever is willing to do that alongside me. It's the example that we set for others by sharing out where we get our inspiration from, that allows us to be trusted, that allows our values to be seen and are clear in the world. And it also allows us to have a sense of ease, because we don't have to watch what we say and pretend in some way. It simply allows us to give credit where credit is due and get the credit for what's due to us in some way. So it really is about sharing your story in your words that, and I am using a should, and you know I hardly ever do that, that really should help you to gain a foothold in the area that you want to create change in. So I'm just going to do another couple of things. Stephanie says, in academia, one even needs a certain amount of quoted sources in order to make it look a good work. And that's exactly what I was saying earlier on around, oh no, I wasn't, I wrote that. So I was actually highlighting the fact that anyone who's done a master's or a PhD will tell you that you need to cite it, and it is the worst part of the copywriting process. In fact, we did an interview with Olivia Eisinger last week, and she was saying that the PhD that she just actually did was offered to do some work on, the citation list is the biggest pain for most people. That reference kind of chapter of the notes and where I got it from, they can be a real pain, and that's exactly the point. Karen says, came in part way through, going to come back and start at the beginning as I'm loving this. So good for you. Enjoy. Make a good cup of tea, because there's definitely some juicy stuff in here. So what I'm really going to wrap up with is this. Hey Keely, oh honey, we're right at the end, and so we'll just sort of see, you might have to go back and do a rewatch as well, and that's just a hashtag replay for all of you. So here's what I'm actually going to say. I'm going to share a beautiful link of, so I've been following this lady blogger for quite some time. She writes, she has a blog called Make a Living Writing. Her name is Carol Tice, and she did this brilliant thing that I kind of dug out yesterday, which is all around the original 18 ideas that jumpstart creativity. But in it, she says this, and this is why I really love it. She says, there is no point recycling what you've already seen 100 times online. Dig a little deeper and bring out what you've got to say that no one else has said. Bring your light. The world is waiting for it. I've written about, Kelly's just saying, have I mentioned the book Steal Like an Artist? I haven't, but I will, again, in the comment. So I'm just going to honour, I will actually type in the quote just so that you can actually see it. Because really, that's the call to action here for all of us, is dig a little deeper on what you read and actually let it, as Caroline was saying, let it influence and shape the thinking that you do with who you are, so that the originality of that comes out. Kelly's just mentioned the book Steal Like an Artist, and it's a really lovely book by Paul. I'm thinking of Paul Arden, and that's not right. Because I tried to find it on my bookshelves earlier, and I think it's hidden behind something else. So I will pop a link to that in here as well. Steal Like an Artist is a great book that just helps you really understand how you can work with other people's ideas in a finessed and beautiful way. So really, how do you make something work? How do you take something that you know and package it up so that it can be the thing that other people quote? That's one of the calls to action for this. And the second call to action, yes, Austin Cleon, thank you, Tim. I knew there was an A in there somewhere, thank you. And it's a brilliant book. He's done a set of 3 little books that are absolutely, they're a tiny read and really good. And I would actually get them in paperback rather than a Kindle, because they're nice. And they've got visuals kind of in them. So I would highly recommend, so here's my call to action for all of you. 1, definitely, if you haven't yet kind of done this is what my legacy, I'd love to be quoted and sourced for on this one, then please put that in. I'd love to know what those are. Those would be really fun for us. The bigger thing here is go and make a list of your sources, because actually when you see a list of all of your own sources and inspirations, the people that you admire that you might quote from, you'll probably start to get a really good sense of who you are, that helps you to claim that green flag in the sand and allows you to cite the sources so people know you even better. My wish and desire is that I've talked and hopefully entertained / promoted some thinking in you, and really on that note, I'm gonna put my head down here and just pin the thing to the top and enjoy the rest of your day. Have fun, enjoy. I'm gonna go right up to the very, very, very top and see if I can pin. Oh, I can't pin the comment. Okay, oh, I will just put that in. You are so welcome, Kelly. I'm just going to put this in again, just so that you've actually got it. For those of you who want to have the kinds of connection hub, the kinds of conversations that actually stimulated this, do come and join the Connection Hub, because we really, really do love having and hosting these types of conversations. Thank you so much all for listening, and I will catch you very, very soon.